This season, rather than madness, opening days, or taking a break, the world is frozen, silenced by quarantines, isolated by distance, and edging on panic. But while work for you may have changed, out here, we're still going strong. Our season is underway. The crops will get planted, the livestock will be fed, and your food will continue to be grown. Just like it's been for generations. There's plenty to worry about. But out here, social distancing is our specialty. American agriculture farms on, today and tomorrow, for our family and yours.
Hello and welcome to Farm Journal Live. I'm Farm Journal editor Clinton Griffiths here from our newsrooms in northern Indiana as we continue to update you on the latest impacts of the coronavirus and the agricultural industry. Let's get straight to the news today. A big worldwide market rally to end the week as investors see hopeful signs in the fight against the coronavirus. The rally coming despite a report showing that China's economy had its worst quarter since 1979. That country's economy shrinking 6.8% in the first 3 months of the year versus a year earlier. It's the first such contraction since Beijing began reporting quarterly gross domestic product in 1992. Meanwhile, China did import $5 billion worth of U.S. ag goods in the first quarter. That includes $3.1 billion in soybeans, $430 million worth of pork. China's total U.S. ag purchases increasing about 110% in the first 3 months of this year versus last. Here at home, a mixed day for markets, especially on the livestock side of things, as that industry works to deal with plant shutdowns and closures. The Sterling Beef Profit Tracker showing feeder margins falling for the week ending April 10th. Closeouts saw average losses of $143 per head. Packer margins still on the positive side, now making roughly $359 per head, down just a bit from last week. Darrell Peel, livestock marketing specialist at Oklahoma State University, joining us. And Darrell, as we look at the entire cattle complex, boy, it seems like there's just a little bit of a headwind out there.
It's been a challenging week, with all of this disruptions and potential disruptions. I think we're just trying to get through this on a day-by-day basis. As we finish up this week, kind of looks like we're sort of breathing a sigh of relief that we haven't seen any additional real impacts. And hopefully we'll get some of the ones that have been impacted back online before we would see any additional impacts.
Darrell, as we start to look at total numbers and processing kind of capacity and numbers here, how big of an impact have we seen so far? Do we anticipate that to kind of continue to pressure on down the line for a while?
It's hard to know exactly what the impact is. We know, some plants have totally closed, but there's a lot of plants that are working at somewhat reduced capacities, either because they just don't have the workforce in place or they're trying to do things to space people out, slow production lines down, and so on. The bottom line is we've had some slowdown. We can certainly see that in the slaughter numbers for beef, for example. First 4 days of this week, the estimated slaughter is down about 9.8% from last week, and it's running about 23% below the same week a year ago. So clearly we're seeing some slowdowns at this point.
Yeah, and I think part of that conversation is, okay, how long can we go here before we start to impact, what's going on at the grocery store? The message has been from the industry that, we do have enough food in the supply system here. Talk us through that and how we see this carry out through retail.
From the retail perspective, I think we're, not likely to see any significant shortages. We could see some disruption in flows briefly. It might be that we don't always have the full set of products that we would expect to see, but there will be product in the grocery stores, I think, unless we just compound in some sort of unfortunate circumstance where a lot of plants get impacted at once. And the market's still nervous about that, but so far we're working through it and avoiding that. Bigger impacts probably are on the producer side in terms of the fact that we can't get these animals processed. A lot of scrambling going on out in the country with both cattle and beef to get these animals processed in a timely fashion.
Yeah, and Darrell, talk about that a little bit, because as we move back down the beef chain here, the value chain, and we look at folks looking to buy stockers, we got cow-calf, it's calving season right now. Of course, those hitting the ground all over the country. Let's talk about long-term impacts or even short-term impacts here to folks a little bit further down the line.
I think what we're doing mostly is changing the timing of a lot of things, especially on the cattle side. We reduced placements in the feedlots. We're holding more of these feeder cattle out in the country longer. They're still out there. The numbers haven't changed, and our overall projections for beef production for the year haven't really changed at all. But we're moving them around. We're probably moving some product from ultimately some beef production from the second quarter into the third quarter. And so it does have impacts on producers, but again, as long as we don't get into a major circumstance where multiple plants are closed at the same time, we probably won't really have any major impacts, especially when you go towards the grocery store side.
Yeah, another part of this whole sector is obviously exports and trade between our partners to the north and south, and even across the oceans here. What are we seeing as far as impacts on exports and trade?
Well, of course, that data runs a little bit delayed. So in terms of official data, we kind of have some indications on our weekly export numbers and so on. The last monthly data we got, exports were very good on the beef side, and even better on the pork side. And so the indications are that we're in pretty good shape. And of course, on the beef side, we also import a lot of product, and we think that was actually down quite a bit in March as well. So, overall, I think the trade picture is positive. It's probably been impacted somewhat, but it may be the brightest spot in all of this for us.
All right. Well, of course, it'll be something to keep an eye on. As always, I appreciate the visit. Thank you, Daryl Peel, Livestock Marketing Specialist there at Oklahoma State University. Have a great day and stay safe out there. Daryl, thanks again.
You too. Be safe.
With more than 22 million filing for unemployment benefits nationally, food banks face surging demand. Many say they're seeing 40 to 50% increases in demand, now expect to blow through their budgets, spending millions more than anticipated. Part of the challenge, rerouting the U.S. food supply to places that need it. That's also impacting small farmers and farmers that sell to restaurants or direct to consumers. Why don't we bring in John Piatti, AFT CEO, and you've been working on a farmer relief fund directed at some of those producers that sell directly to some of these small and mid-sized farmers that work with consumers.
That's right, Andy. We work with a number of those farmers. We work with farmers of all types and all sizes, but we were working with a number of those farmers on some projects in March, just as their markets were collapsing. We had worked with some farmers and helped them really focus their attention on restaurant markets, and then overnight that collapsed. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now which are disrupting society, but we made a conscious effort to at least see what we could do to help those farmers. So we launched this Farmer Relief Fund about 2.5 weeks ago. Our goal was to raise $1,000 for 1,000 farms, $1 million, and we've done that, or have come close at this point, and we're excited about it. But the need's so much greater. We now have 4,000 applicants, and we need more money.
Yeah, and we know that has been a real issue for some of those smaller farmers that are trying to work and get their product to market at this time. So what can people do? How can they help out?
Well, they can support our fund by going to our website, www.farmland.org, and right on the opening page there, they'll find the Farmer Relief Fund. American Farmland Trust is paying for all the administrative and support costs, so every dollar that is contributed will end up going to a needy farmer.
All right, well, I know that is going to be a big need as we try to work through this entire situation. There's a lot of farms out there dealing with this kind of thing. In fact, some of these farm-to-table operations are having to come up with some new ways to keep their businesses up and running. Photojournalist David Faltzkog takes us to a small Vermont business that's continuing to farm on and work through these tough times.
I have an order for pickup.
Our goal is not to be grocers.
It's alphabetical, so you can be able to find it down there.
But to just share the food that we've got here.
We shop here regularly. We live just down the street, so we always come for bread and vegetables.
When this first broke out, what did you do?
We shut down.
When they took a break, we were like, oh God, we really miss their bread.
The only safe thing to do was to shut down, really clean up our act, think about how we were going to distribute food without people coming inside.
So when they started doing the pickup and order, it was perfect because they also had other things too that we were looking for.
We are a farm and a bakery, so it's produce, but now we're getting into like having staples because we get pallets of grains and beans and flour, and then we can get cheese, stuff like that. So we have that stuff here. So we felt like, why don't we make those things available to people. My son built an online website so people can put in orders. We don't have any like fees on it or anything. We just like keep the prices really reasonable.
One of the reasons we shop here is because we're able to keep small producers in business during this tough time.
She just said she had extra spinach, so we said do it.
Always use some spinach. Thank you.
So how you guys holding up?
So it was intense starting yesterday, and then right till now it's been a lot of just packing up orders and getting things to people. The distribution is complicated. Let's just like hone it down. So we're just making a few kinds of bread and distributing like these staples.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Stay safe.
Community's big.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's bigger than ever. I mean, hopefully that's something that we're going to learn from all this is,
Hi, how's it going?
be thankful and recognize what we have here with the food systems and the small communities that we have, and how we can all support each other.
So people that are baking bread, people that are putting out vegetables, that are growing still during this tough time, we want to make sure that we support them so that they continue to be here for us.
So it's always been sort of our identity to be like an open place, and this is a time when everything is about self-protection. So obviously you got to do it in a careful way, but I refuse to just like totally go inward.
I think it just reinforces the tendency we have here in Vermont.
We've got things that we can share with people, and in good times that's a party that we want to share in abundance. And right now, we're still fortunate that we've got plenty of food, and people need that.
I'm really thankful to be here and that we have this and that we have the privilege to have these resources available.
And don't forget to post your pictures or videos on social media by including the hashtag FarmOn, or you can text FarmOn to 31313 and include the pictures or video there as well. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for watching us today on Farm Journal Live. Remember, we'll be continuing our coverage on the coronavirus outbreak. You can follow along by going to agweb.com/coronavirus for the very latest in what's happening in the news. Everybody, have a great afternoon.